Slide 1. Good evening, everyone. Slide 2. Welcome. This presentation focuses on the oil and petroleum market. It examines the power of the buyer and seller in international market. It is focuses on the factors that affect buyer and seller power in negotiation. The analysis is using the Porter 5 forces model as framework. Conclusion and recommendations will be based on the empirical data. The presentation has used reliable and up-to-date academic resources and industry opinion. Slide 3, contents. The presentation will be structured as shown here. It is the list of contents. Slide 4, introduction. Oil markets are essentially a global auction. The highest bidder will win the available supply. Like any auction, the bidder doesn't want to pay too much. Market can be tight or loose. A market is said to be tight when demand is high and available supply is low. The bidder or buyer must be willing to pay a higher price. This is give the power to the seller. When markets are loose, demand is low and available supply is high. This is give the buyer the power to choose not to enter a bidding war, but to wait instead for lower price suppliers. Slide 5, Porter 5 forces. The presentation will use as it is focuses Porter's 5 forces model. This is international business model was formulated in 1979, but is still an excellent analysis tool. It centers on 5 main categories or forces highlighted here in color. This diagram shows the 5 forces and how they interact with each other. It is clearly showing here that various factors influence the power of any buyer or seller. For example, does the seller have a choice of buyers? Is there a fixed price because of a cartel or monopoly? Does a buyer consume a large majority of the market? Are alternative products available? This and other factors have an effect on negotiation power in marketplace. Slide 6. Force 1, industry competition. One group of oil producer, OPEC, can exert considerable market power, making it difficult for competitors. OPEC is short for Organization of Oil Producing Countries and is a group of several countries that are significant oil suppliers. The founder members were the Islamic Republic of Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Since its formation in 1960, OPEC has expanded and there are now 13 full members and some associates. They have to be approved by 75% of the conference. OPEC objective, it is coordinated and unified platform unified petroleum policy among of member countries. The official objective is to keep prices fair and stable and to make sure that regular supply of petroleum uh, research petroleum reach the consumer nation. Of course, OPEC need to provide an acceptable return to the investor. OPEC seek the amount of oil production among member by setting target and quote. However, the individual member do not always cooperate. The non-OPEC oil producer are on the competitive fringe. That is to say, they must respond to OPEC action and do their best to be competitive. Slide 7. Force 2. Threat of substitute from electric vehicle. Clearly, one alternative to petroleum power is electric power. Although there was some resistance to switching over batteries, now how much longer charge time and range? Price of electric car are coming down because the battery are cheaper. The range of vehicle has improved and this market it is more attractive as an alternative. The government have made commitment to replace petrol domestic vehicle with electric vehicles. There will have been incentive schemes to persuade consumer to switch from the image. The predictions are clear. By 2022, a new electric car will match the price of new petrol and diesel car. By 2030, 100 million electric cars will be sold worldwide. By 2040, there will be 400 million electric cars in circulation. By 2040, 35% of all new vehicle purchased will be electric. Slide 8, electric vehicle projections and predictions. Vehicle manufacturers are competing to launch plan for manufacturing electric vehicle on large scale. Climate change has produced increasingly strict regulation in Europe, also in China, which has huge potential market. In fact, by 2022, there will be more than 500 different models available globally. The greater choice, the increased efficiency will be matched. The competition in price, there will be strong attraction for new buyer to enter the market and also invest for investor. Slide 9. Forces 3, threat of new entrants. New entrants can disrupt established player in a particular market, indirectly affect their competitive advantage. When the demand is steady, any new supply of goods will decrease the profit margin for the existing players. It will always be the case, however, that there are a few new entrants to the oil exploration and production industry. It is very likely that a new entrant will be competitive. The main reasons are listed here. An enormous Financial investment is needed for exploration and to set up supply chains. Plus, it will be years before any financial return can be expected. Political tensions in new geographical area present high risks for investor. Change in government or civil unrest can severely affect operations. Also, a small a member of major player control oil, petroleum extraction, supply, and refining. And these major players have strong relationships to governments, which give them powerful advantage when negotiating exploration and production contracts. Slide 10. Force 4. Supplier power. A supplier with a strong and efficient supply chain will be more attractive to a buyer. Cost-effective and efficient supply chains are a strong incentive for for potential buyer. It is not just enough to buy at a good price. The product must be delivered on time without disruption. High entry barriers will reduce threat of new entrants into industry, and this make existing seller more powerful. Cartels such as OPEC collaborate to control supply and pricing, and this give them significant amount to control over the market. Small, small numbers of major players enjoy special relationship with international government that make them the favored supplier. Slide 11, OPEC influence on capacity. This image shows that OPEC can choose to increase or hold back production, and this can be strong influencer on the market. OPEC respond to the level of demand as a group of suppliers. They agree between themselves to fix a production level and therefore price. The OPEC cartel seek to keep supplier below full market capacity to maintain profitability. The call on OPEC is names for the volume needed to balance a global supply with the global demand. OPEC has control over this level because non-OPEC competitors are already sailing at maximum supply and have no power to increase productions. OPEC will be powerful on influence for some time yet because Bloomberg predicts that the growth in heavy commercial vehicles will keep the transport oil demand high and growing until 2031. This is still the case, even though oil demand for passenger vehicle is expected to be gradually declining. Slide 12. Force 5. Buyer power. When choosing a supplier, the buyer must consider various factors. The need for the product must be balanced against the expense. The buyer must also consider how to produce will affect their profit margin and what value will be added by any purchase. The price of product may be fixed by cartels such as OPEC. The logistic and other costs are also important. For example, the supply chain may be trouble-free or may have potential problems. Political unrest may also affect the supply chain. Flight, Slide 13. The four main purchase categories. The Kolchik matrix was introduced by Peter Kolchik in an article in the Harvard Business Review in 1983 and showed the main influencers of purchasing power. Non-critical items have little impact on an organization, therefore the buyer is in a strong position when negotiating purchases. Leverage items are impact for business but also could supply. This allows the buyer to negotiate between supplier and make cost saving. This is put the seller in competition with each other. Bottleneck items have only a handful of suppliers. There is a risk that supply chain could break down unless supplier relationships are well handled and purchase targets are efficient and accurate. Sellers have more power here. Strategic items are high stake purchases. This could be getting a guaranteed supply of petroleum at competitive price and also depend on a good supplier relationships. Again, the power with the seller. Slide 14, the hoteling rule and oil price. One influential financial theory about the oil price is hoteling rule. Hoteling theory defines the decision price where owner and non-renewable source will extract it and sell. Otherwise, the supplier will leave it and wait for a more profitable situations. The rule was named after American statistician Harlot Hoteling. The graph clearly shows that when the oil price highest, other alternatives that were more expensive suddenly become attractive to the buyer. When the oil price is at the low level, buying oil is more cost effective, making it more attractive to buyers and give power to the oil suppliers. Slide 15, conclusion. Substitute to petroleum products were non-existent for decades, but electrical power vehicle is an emerging threat to suppliers of petroleum. There was originally a reluctance by investor and buyer to move into electrical car. Concerns involve range, battery reliability, and recharging availability. However, these are all improving due to international climate change target. Electrical vehicles are now a strong alternative for buyer, and this will affect the oil price as demand fails. Environmental regulations are also significant influencer in a driving buyer to switch away from petroleum. As said before, however, there will still be fairly strong demand from across the world to power heavy commercial vehicles. Slide 16, recommendations. Here, here are some of the recommendations for both buyers and suppliers as we continue to cope with the pandemic COVID-19 and existing environment and financial demand. Business strategy must change to consider the competition from new markets and consider a broader perspective, probably to move into more sustainable alternatives. Major oil suppliers should diversify and move into electrical vehicle market, and buyers should focus on developing infrastructure for electric vehicles, such as charging station at supermarket and railway station. Investment in electrical vehicles will bring the price down and make them competitive with petrol-driven vehicles. This will give more power to buyers of petroleum products for commercial vehicles. Government incentive will assist with the changeover from petrol to electrical power, and this will again make them an attractive alternative. Therefore, countries that depend upon oil products to drive their economy should develop long-term plans to develop other income sources. Slide 17, references. And here is the list of references used. Are there any questions?